like to talk about the practice of meditation. First, it's always good to know why we're doing such a radical thing as sitting quietly in this way and seemingly doing not very much, and what benefit that might hold. And the purpose of this particular method and this training is to just be able to feel ourselves, our humanity, our state of being in this very moment, in this present moment. And usually people come to meditation because they want more happiness. They feel something needs to improve. And generally people try a lot of things in that regard. And this particular lineage is about discovering happiness by feeling who we actually are. And to help us with that, we focus on something that's happening in the present. And a convenient thing that's always happening in the present is the breath going in and out of our body. We can feel that, and then we know we're present. Or it can be some other sensation, perception. And so we're going to sit with ourselves without any particular agenda or judgment. And maybe we're having a good day, and maybe we're having a bad day, and we'll just feel that.
And I remember walking in that door, and all these people were sitting on cushions and chairs, and they all knew what they were doing, I thought. And I was well, I can't sit on a cushion, because I don't know what to do. So I sat in a chair, and I remember that first day so well, because it felt like such a good fit. I heard things that, it was just like little fireworks going off in my mind. Things were connecting, and I knew that I needed to start to practice. And that first day led to a huge shift in my life, and I'm so thankful that I finally came through the door. And I was introduced to a practice that helped me cut through that craziness that's going on in my life.
Doing level 1 was the realization that I was on the path, and even though you have a lot of emotional turmoil, getting used to the idea of being in the moment and being aware, that it was really the significant change in me going forward instead of meandering around rather uselessly on that path. So I think it was just awesome.
But very soon there was a level 1 coming up, and I thought, oh, maybe I should try it. I don't know. A whole day. Right? So I was a bit overwhelmed, and I thought, okay, well, I'll go to the Friday evening, and maybe if that seems good, I'll go to the Saturday, and if that stays good, maybe I'll stay for the whole day, and if I decide to leave, what are they going to do to me, right? It's like, right? So I thought, and then by the Saturday evening, I was very disappointed it was finished because it was just too short.
Like looking around at other people and realizing there wasn't anything different about them than from me. It was just more people doing the same thing I was doing. So trying to figure things out, trying to listen, trying to pay more attention to other people. A lot of people that I met in level 1, those are still my close friends, so that was really important to me, to meet people who are kind of asking the same questions I was asking. And I think the main benefit for me is that I feel that it gave me kind of like this ground of understanding for myself and for others, and to really be able to drop the struggle was really important. I realized a lot of my struggle, things that I felt unhappy about, was just an activity of struggle, that if I could learn how to just not dive into that, really there wasn't any fundamental problem.
There was a lot going on in my life at the time. Some trauma that I had kind of buried and didn't know how to deal with, and I tried to seek help for it, but nothing was working, and so I pushed it aside. And when I started this mindfulness course, I realized how utterly disconnected from my body I was, and how I wasn't present in my life, and I wasn't present to myself.
Often we forget to pay attention to ourselves. And so meditation is taking the time, some quality time with ourselves, and just feeling how we're doing. The practice of meditation is a way to hold our bodies so that we have good energy flow and have the good presence. Taking the time to feel our senses and our mood, our body, our thoughts. Then with the motivation of wanting to be as present as possible with this friend, ourselves. And the great meditators have discovered this, that at the root of humanity is the nature of each individual is basically good and kind and wise and strong. And we've all experienced that, I think, in moments. But the practice that we do is about bringing that out, like the sun coming out from behind the clouds. And in that way, we can actually have good relationships and create good situations for others to enter into when we feel worthy. The Shambhala teachings, which the basic root of it is that every individual is basically good, and that a good human society is possible on this earth. And so it's a little different from, even though it's rooted in Buddhism, it's meant for any culture to find the best in their culture, the goodness, and actually to create a culture within which the inherent goodness of humanity can be discovered.
One of the things that's been a real benefit to me has been being trained to actually cultivate compassion and generosity and joy and happiness. And it's made a big difference in my relationships. And also, as I've been getting more present to my own humanity, and I'm really getting clearer on what's going on with me, I'm cutting people in my life a lot more slack than I ever did before. So I get that, people are going through the same things I'm going through. Fear, anxiety, happiness, it's all there. And so I can really stop and get present to that before I speak or before I act, and it's made a huge difference in my relationships.
With the gentleness, just, it's amazing. It's it, you know, it's just the gentleness.
They say that you're always your own worst enemy. And through meditating, I could see how I was beating my head with a 2x4 constantly, daily. And I thought, oh, I would tell my friend, you know, be kind to yourself and be compassionate. But to myself, I was just so deadly. And gentleness worked wonders for me.
Right? We all get our share of suffering. And we also can learn to achieve the cessation of suffering. That is really, really important to me. And it's what I am, as I say, curious about how one pursues that over the long haul, because there's not a quick, it's really not like this.
Chaos still happens. Stressors still come in, and it feels like the rug's going to get pulled under, but it doesn't. And because I sense, by virtue of practice, that there is a ground, and that ground is okayness. We call it basic goodness.
My oldest daughter said it taught me anger management in the middle of an argument, but that is true. It put me less in the focus of trying to avoid myself and more about stuff happens and how to actually deal with that. And it's not that I won't get upset or freak out sometimes, but at the same time I can also take a second and step back and go, oh, well, you know, I need to close my mouth for a second and listen to the other person. Or I actually, instead of taking me as the number one, need to put myself out there for the other person.
But people in my life around me were saying, my God, you've changed. You're just doing so much better. You're like a different person. I was much more connected with myself and with the people around me. And it was very, very surprising for me.
I don't know how to express it. It's just a level of clarity and just wanting to help others. That it's not, you have to think about, well, am I going to help this person or help that person? That's who you are now.
Yes.
You are someone who helps other people.